we've done now all kinds of outdoor adventures and challenges, but the thing that they have clung to the most is just their outdoor backyard small memories. And that's been pretty impactful for us too.
Hello, and welcome to the Arts of Language podcast with Andrew Pudewa, founder of the Institute for Excellence in Writing, or as many like to say, IEW. My name is Julie Walker, and I'm honored to serve Andrew and IEW as the Chief Marketing Officer. Our goal is to equip teachers and teaching parents with methods and materials which will aid them in training their students to become confident and competent communicators and thinkers. So, Andrew, welcome to the middle of July.
Well, it's generally hot in most places, certainly in Oklahoma.
Well, I know where it's not brutally hot.
The beach.
The beach, yes. It's a great place to raise your kids, and that's what I did when I was homeschooling my kids in Southern California. And you grew up at Catalina Island.
Yeah, and then we had a good 10 years, not too far from the beach.
Yes, exactly.
Then we left.
Well, our conversation today is a little bit about your talk, Nature Deficit Disorder, and a lot about this idea of 1,000 hours outside.
Yes, our good friend Jenny Urich has written a book by that title, I believe.
And we had her as a guest on our podcast.
Yeah, and some people have tried and found it's pretty darn difficult to actually do 1,000 hours outside in 1 year's time.
Exactly.
But, I mean, if you could, I'd like to do that.
Right.
I think I got 1,000 hours in airports at this point in the summer. I don't know how know how many, but it seems like it's just gone on and on and on.
Yes. Well, every year your travel schedule is pretty brutal, Andrew.
Yeah.
So I want to let you know, listeners, that we have a guest on our podcast. And if you are familiar with our Teaching Writing Structure and Style second edition, you will know this person, at least maybe not by name, but certainly by face. We have someone as a guest on our podcast, Amy Wormald. So, Amy, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amy has been a longtime family friend of the Walkers. In fact, her mom and I homeschooled our kids together because I had boys, Debbie had girls, and so this was like the brother-sister thing. And Amy, I know you know what I'm going to say. We had always hoped that perhaps that would actually happen, but that's okay. Amy has 3 adorable children, and I have a couple of grandchildren. So now your mom and I, Amy, are scheming to get maybe a couple of our grandkids married off.
Well, when I was doing those classes at Biola, your kids were in those classes.
Yes, they were.
Was Amy in class?
Yes, she was.
So, because I remember knowing her when she was like early teens or something.
Yep.
And then she grew up, started teaching in a school. Do you remember what I said to you when you were going to go teach middle school science?
Yes, I was going to teach middle school science in California, and you said that I better be careful and get a shapeless frock.
Yes.
That way I can keep all of the kids in
makeup,
line.
Shapeless frock. Otherwise, those poor middle school boys are going to be distracted beyond their means. But that was just my humorous comment at the time. You really haven't aged much at all, I'll tell you that.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. You both as well. It's great to be here today.
No, I look old. I know that. But that's okay. I have 19 grandchildren, so I should look old.
Well, then, since I only have 3, I should look young.
You do.
Okay, well, I'll just take that and off we go.
All right.
Andrew, you had said it's hard to get those 1,000 hours.
Yeah.
And Amy did it
last
last year.
What inspired you to undertake this kind of ambitious goal, and when did you start? And tell a little bit of the beginning of it.
Yeah, sure. So My family definitely enjoys being outside. And as Julie mentioned, I have three young kids spanning from 5 to 10 now. And we decided to take on this challenge 3 years ago. I came across this and we decided to start tracking our outdoor time. And I will admit that originally I thought that we were doing plenty of outdoor time until I started actually tracking it. And we used Ginny's app to track our outdoor time together. And so, the middle of our first year trying this challenge, we realized quite quickly that we might not make the 1,000 hours. And I was really encouraged by the community just to take the idea of progress over perfection and really run with that. So we modified our first year to try to get 500 hours. And we did end up doing that. And the second year we attempted this, we increased it to 750 hours for the year. And then we got really close to our 1,000 hours that year, but then not quite. And so this last year in 2025, we finally did it. We hit our 1,000 hours outside. And so it's been a really fun trajectory of just making really small changes over time that yielded bigger results. And so for us, that was our story of getting to this place.
So doing a little mental math, which I like doing, I'm thinking that this is somewhere around like 2 hours and 45 minutes a day average. Is that in the ballpark?
Yes, well, what you will know probably about me that I do not love doing mental math, but I will say that we have found that we actually needed to take the whole year into account because we've now seen that historically we have months where we're not outside very much, like the month of December, for example. We have lots of Christmas parties indoors and things like that. And so we've actually accounted for the heat and the seasons and kind of our own personal lives. And we've realized that July is actually, that's coming up. It's our do or die month. We actually have to do more than an average. So we actually have a different average for every month for our family daily because we know that some months it's just not as possible to get outside for like a certain amount of hours for the whole year.
Now you said the first year you modified it and you hit about 500 hours. And then next year you increase. So you must have seen some benefits from the 500 that first year that inspired you to try for another year increasing. What were some of the significant things that maybe you expected to happen, or maybe some things that you didn't expect and were pleased or surprised by?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say one thing that I was surprised at was it was kind of difficult to get my kids outside initially, but then once they were outside, it was easier for them to linger. And so we just started adding, 5 minutes more. Let's just linger at this play date a little bit longer, at this park a little bit longer. And one benefit I would say is their behavior naturally improves when they're outside.
Mm.
They are siblings, and as all siblings do, they bicker and have some challenges, interpersonally. But when they're outdoors, a lot of that just really naturally diminishes. And so we found that we also, as a family, really love the idea of a slow childhood. And so being outside kind of yields that boredom sometimes that can also then increase creativity. And so we actually like the idea of our kids being bored sometimes and being outside in the backyard. They have to construct their play. They have to come up with things to do if they know they need to be out there for a little while. So we definitely saw some huge benefits from being outdoors more, not just with, health and air quality and those type of things, but also just in their own creative efforts and then also just their behavior too.
So, Andrew, I know this about Amy just because, family friends for a very long time, but I'm not sure you know how committed she and her husband are to keep their kids from screens. And so I know that in your talk, Nature Deficit Disorder, you mentioned that a young boy didn't want to go outside because he wants to be indoors because that's where the plugs are. Yes.
Yeah, that was in Richard Louve's book, Last Child in the Woods.
Got it.
He did some interviewing of children and put that into the book. I know Ginny knows that book. So you have a backyard at your home, and does being in the backyard count?
Yes. So the nice thing about the 1,000 hours outside challenge is every family can interpret it in their own way, what works best for them. For me, backyard time absolutely counts. Anytime we're in fresh air. Obviously, in an ideal situation, we would be in the woods, in nature, fully immersed. But the reality is, for my family, sometimes outdoor time looks like being in the dirt at baseball. It looks like being in concrete, taking a 20-minute walk around the neighborhood. So, in an ideal situation, yes, but for our family, anytime outdoors in fresh air counts. My kids have taken to camping in the backyard. We'll count that as outdoor time. So, yeah, it's one of their favorite memories. In fact, it's kind of sweet when I asked my kids, we've done now all kinds of outdoor adventures and challenges, but the thing that they have clung to the most is just their outdoor backyard small memories. And that's been pretty impactful for us too, just to see that, yes, they love the big adventures. They love those huge beach days, but the things that are really the most memorable to them are bouncing on the trampoline outside or camping in a tent in our backyard. And I will say, our backyard is very small, so it's not in an expansive place. But yes, for our family, even eating outdoors at a restaurant or taking a book outside, any of that counts for us.
You said your backyard is very small. It reminds me, I took one of my children to go and visit the home where I grew up.
Oh, uh-huh. Wow.
And it's really interesting because I grew up
in Southern California.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I went to visit it as an adult, my memory was that it was much larger.
Of course.
And that the yard was much larger.
Yes.
And now it seemed, as an adult, I think that's a pretty small place. So children who are half the size, the space is twice as big.
It's there you go.
So you don't need a lot of space. I also remember, you reminded me, I don't have a lot of clear memories of being about 5 years old. But one of them definitely is I had a tent in the backyard. It was Torrance.
Okay.
We lived in Torrance when I was 5. Then we moved to Palos Verdes. But I used to sleep in that tent in the backyard.
At 5 years old?
At 5 years old.
Wow.
I think my parents were a little, I don't know, less worried about the world as many parents are today. But it was a backyard and it was fenced in. But it actually makes me want to buy a tent and sleep outside with grandchildren so they can do that.
Well, let the grandchildren do it, Andrew. I know that being comfortable is more important as you get older, right?
It is, but I need to give myself a goal. Maybe I could get 100 hours outside. Since you can set your own goals.
There you go.
I should probably get the app and just start tracking. What other kinds of places did you find were particularly apt for going to or being at, where there was that beautiful balance between boredom and creativity, and then an environment that stimulated the creativity?
Yeah, well, I will, place the caveat that where I'm at, it's pretty warm in the summer. And so anytime we can add water, it's always a benefit because...
Well, I just want to say, you've got this lovely beachy background. They are hours from the beach. Yeah, they're in the desert, so
right.
It's pretty hot.
Well, and even if it was close, it's Southern California, so traffic.
Yeah, it's true.
Yes, that's true.
But go ahead, water.
Yeah, so I would say anytime we can add water, we've found that that's really helpful for extending the play. Also, just the sensory input from water is great. And just as a sidebar, I will also say, just circling back to one of your previous questions about benefits that we've seen from being outdoors, 2 of my kids have more sensory sensitivities and they've participated in occupational therapy and some other supports. And this last year, we dropped OT for my daughter because we enrolled her in a homeschool. They homeschool, my kids homeschool. And we enrolled her in a homeschool nature class so that she is by a lake and having some of these more natural opportunities more often. And we found that that was really beneficial. Of course, her homeschool teacher for that class is great and has, supported her through that. But that's been another huge just benefit that we've seen. But I would say anytime we can add water, anytime we can add friends, that is great. That positive peer pressure, when they see somebody else, stomping in a rain puddle, they're more apt to jump in too. And then also not being afraid to change the location. So we've made a list of all of our local parks, and we have now visited all the local parks, but sometimes they are done pretty quickly, and then we move on to a different park. So just not being afraid to change it up. But one place that's new to my kids is we have a new skate park. And so they've been taking their scooters and their skateboards, and they've been, kind of experimenting and getting more used to the pump track there. So that's been a fun new place, but definitely not on a day like today where it's 100 and the asphalt is really hot. Today is more of a water day. But yeah, there's been a lot of different places that we can go. But I do think adding in friends, and also just we have friends that also are doing the challenge too. And that always helps, just having that positive peer
That's a
pressure.
great idea. Yeah.
You mentioned stomping in puddles.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain behaviors that seem extremely typical of young children, boys in particular,
Mm-hmm.
stomping in puddles. Another one I noticed, and I'm wondering if you've noticed this, that boys, even up to 12 or so, if they are walking along a path, they will find a stick.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yes.
And then they will use the stick to whack anything that is within whackable distance
Yes.
Or
as they are
anyone.
walking along the path.
Anyone, yes.
And I was watching my 6-year-old grandson doing this.
Uh-huh.
We were in an archery thing in the forest, and he's whacking. And I just thought, no one never taught him to do that. It's an instinct. But then I thought, that whacking, making noise, stomping, like that's a natural repellent to predators and snakes and things. Like if some snake was around and heard everything getting whacked,
Yeah.
that snake would get out of there.
Yeah.
So it made me realize this is maybe an instinctive survival thing. And even though moms don't quite get it, and it's kind of irritating when the whacking is happening too close to you,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably an ancient embedded instinct, particularly for boys, to protect all around them. I don't know.
Well, Andrew, I will say that we have a stick collection. We pick up sticks wherever we go, and my son has started whittling. So he definitely has now like pointed sharp sticks too. So we
So if
we
the
love
noise
it,
doesn't repel the predator, it's skewer time.
Yes, yes.
Have there been any moments of danger or fear or concern that caused you to think, ooh, maybe this isn't great? Or did you just say, well, this is just part of it. This is part of the adventure?
That's a great question. I would say there have been 2 times with coyotes, who are kind of my nemesis. I am not a fan of coyotes. And we have a dirt path that extends through our neighborhood, a small trail, and we ride our bikes on the dirt path. And so, my son is 10 now, and we're definitely giving him some more freedom, because that's part of our parenting philosophy, incorporating some risk and allowing for, safe risk to happen. So we were letting him ride quite a bit ahead. And there was a coyote that came in the path, and I realized, I'm not close enough that I can intervene. And it wasn't needed. The coyote ran away. It was fine. But there's been a couple moments like that. My daughter thought a coyote was a dog, one time, and wanted to run over and pet the dog. So there have been some times where there's learning opportunities. It hasn't made me want to stop being outdoors. It's just made me realize that sometimes we need some education beforehand, like, this is a coyote. Let's not go near it. Let's not touch it, and live like knowing what to do if you do encounter things. Because in real life, we're all going to encounter obstacles and potential dangers. And having those small risks now, I feel like will help them when they encounter bigger risks in their personal lives when they're older.
It's good. I am reminded of the book Bud and Me. And I mentioned this in the Nature Deficit Talk. Do you know this book, Amy, Bud and Me?
No, and I'm an avid reader, so I have to add this to my list.
This is for your son, Amy.
Well, with a caveat. This is the story of the Abernathy brothers, who sometime in the first decade of the 1900s when they were literally 7 and 5 years old. They rode their horses from Oklahoma City to Santa Fe, New Mexico. Their father took the train, and they all met and had dinner with the governor. And the next year, when they were 8 and 6, they rode their horses from Oklahoma City to New York, and their father took the train, and they had dinner with Teddy Roosevelt. And then the next year, they were 9 and 7, and some magazine that got wind of this thing, because they were very famous at the time, offered them some sum of money to ride their horses by themselves from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean. And this is the story of many of the adventures they had along the way. And it's just mind-blowing. As I was reading this, I thought, where is the mother? Like, how... their father was the U.S. Marshal for Western Oklahoma, I think, or Oklahoma Territory or whatever. And I just thought, this is mind-blowing level of
freedom,
adventure, danger, confidence. Like, few children would ever have that type of experience in this modern world. But it gives you a vision of the competence and capabilities of children. And I think sometimes we need to be reminded that young children put in circumstances that require it can be very resourceful and intelligent.
Yep. Well, and I have heard Amy say several times in our conversation, we and I. And so congratulations to you, Amy, for getting your 1,000 hours outside. And did you get a prize?
Well, so I will say that as a family, we set the goal that if we made it to 1,000 hours, my kids wanted a gigantic cake with sprinkles with 1,000 written on it. And then secondly, they wanted to go on an adventure. So as a family, we did that. They got gigantic slices of cake. And we went to, ironically, an indoor water park at Great Wolf Lodge to celebrate. But yes, as a family, we did celebrate. And, it's been really great for all of us just to extend our time outside.
Well, hopefully you will have some opportunity to travel across the country a bit and stop and visit us in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have the best city park in the whole country now.
Yes,
and all sorts of interesting lakes and trails and things. We do, however, have ticks and chiggers
and a lot of heat,
especially
in July and August.
But if it doesn't kill you, make you tougher, right?
Yes, that's right. No, I would love to visit. Thank you. It's a great place, and even with those pests, we feel like it's worth the outcome. Just a little preparation.
Yep.
But yes.
Well, thank you, Amy,
definitely.
for being a part of our podcast today. And hopefully you will be inspiration for some of our listeners it's the middle of the year. Maybe they could get a couple 100 hours.
Yeah, set your own goal.
Set your own goal. Right. And we'll put some links in the show notes for the app that Amy was referring to. And of course, to Ginny's books.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I would also encourage them, they could start at any time. You don't have to start in January. Your year could start now as well. And you could just go
that's
for
right.
12
You could start your year whenever there's a fiscal year.
Yeah, that's
Why
true.
not have an outdoor year?
Yeah, there you go.
You start at any date. Okay.
Sounds
just
great.
Jump in. Thank you so much for having me today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thanks so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please subscribe to our podcast or just visit us each week at iew.com/podcast. Here you will find our show notes and relevant links. One more thing, would you please rate and review our podcast? This helps other smart listeners like you find us. Thank you.